Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Ra says, in this context, you may see the one you call Lucifer as the true light bringer, in that the knowledge of good and evil both precipitated the mind-body spirits of this logos from the Edenic conditions of constant contentment, but also provided the impetus to move, to work, and to learn. Beautiful, beautiful. By the way, key distinction, and also a word of caution as a student of the Law of One, or any other philosophy for that matter: stick with the concepts that you know. Or if you find incongruency with the concepts, then you have to create your own. You have to make up your own, especially in your mind. You don't have to, unless you teach it, there is no need for you to come up with new terms, but to understand inherently. Don't confuse the terms. Why? Because we're talking about Lucifer. Very big word here. Even within some people who study metaphysics, they use Lucifer as a sort of state of mind, which is kind of appropriate too, I guess. And this is why, again, I wanted to expand your knowledge, and not so much the words, but what they mean. But they use Lucifer as a state of mind in which you are very spiritual. You're always talking about spirituality, or you're interested in that. It's not even you or a person. It's a tendency of the mind to be more into that. And you get very spiritual, and you kind of neglect the material world. You see, whereas Satan is supposed to be the material, neglecting the spiritual. And then there is a middle ground, which I forget what it is. But in this context, we're not talking about that Lucifer. We're talking about Lucifer as the symbolic bringer of light. Now, why would Lucifer bring light? Because, and we have demonized Lucifer, the symbol, I mean, as something evil. It's evil. Yes, darkness can be seen as something that is shading the light, right? But is darkness really evil? Not in the context of experience. In the context of experience, if you only had light, there would be no experience. There would be no form, no nothing. So you need darkness, and you appreciate the darkness for that. Now this brings, of course, a possibility of polarization, as you are aware, because the consciousness, the logos, would have certain preference for the darkness, and others would have preference for the light. Here we are, positive and negative polarities. So this is why Ra says, in this context, you may see the one you call Lucifer as the true light bringer. Why? Because it brings light, knowledge, form, gives the ability to have experiences. No form, no experience. And that the knowledge of good and evil both precipitated the mind-body spirits, in this case it's fine to say mind-body spirits because they weren't complex, of this logos from the Edenic conditions. Is that how it's pronounced? Edenic. The Garden of Eden. Of constant contentment, but also provided the impetus to move, to work, and to learn. See, a more intense experience. So that's what Lucifer is supposed to symbolize. It's supposed to bring the capacity for duality, to experience duality in this way. You see? So again, it can get complicated with the symbols and the terms and all of that, but in this, just think about it as Lucifer, light bringer, is what brings knowledge of good and evil, and it precipitates the mind-body spirits of this logos from the Edenic conditions of, oh, everything's well, everything's fine because we see each other and everything perfect. No, it brings it to that possibility, to the possibility of having to move, to work, and to learn. Yes, makes sense. Let's move on.